There is yet another UFC proving fighting way easier from outside the cage. Way less time you have to spend traveling to these many fights. I presume fighters are going 10 to 12 times. I am your host, Kevin. It is Verbal Tap. With me, of course, Raf Esparza. Raf, how are you this another UFC pay-per-view evening?
I'm fine. These are always excuses to talk to good people. We'll get to him in a second. But Kev, I do suspect some part of your voice is kind of aggravated, and I can't tell if it's because we have to pay two sets of $69.99s for this one 30-day period. But are you mad about that, or are you mad about the fact that we have to do another over-under, Kevin, within a short amount of time?
I was actually mad about the guest you picked. So it was option
okay.
3. You weren't even
Okay.
thinking it, but really
No.
starting to set me up for failure here, and I'm not enjoying it.
It really is the design of the show. I don't know why we haven't caught on to that part yet. Yes, our guest today, in keeping with the tradition of bringing on UFC fighters onto the show to preview UFC fighting, I thought, who better than a guy who's not only kind of in our circle based off of the people that we know and love, you know, his inner circle is kind of our inner circle. I'm just saying that you don't get a John Salter without a Joe Solecki. And I'm so happy that it's almost like a 2-for-1, Kevin. It's almost like you're battling both Salter and Solecki, but we have Solecki here on the line with us. Joe, how are you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Now, here's why I think this is perplexing to me, because I've seen you just be incredibly nice. I think that you are obviously a great fighter, and you've got a hell of a fight coming up against Jim Miller. We'll chat about that. But how often are you regarded as a trash talker in any form? I'm curious about that.
I think one time, well, you know what? If we do anything outside the gym, I'm super I'm competitive in fighting and jiu-jitsu, but like I take that very serious. But like anything, like during quarantine, we did a lot of rec sports. Like the few of us that were still hanging out, just trying to keep our sanity. We're doing outside stuff, and that's when I get real bad. That's the only time. That and apparently when I fight Matt Wyman. But other than that, I don't really talk trash. But gosh, if we play cards. And anything that I can do all right at, if I'm not good at it, I won't play. So for the most part, anything that isn't fighting or jiu-jitsu, I still take it super serious, but I talk trash with it because it's more fun.
Here's some good news. We are off the mats, so I believe that's one of the criterion that you were looking for. Number 2, it's about fighting, and you're not exactly involved in this card. So it puts you in a unique quandary of you're talking fighting, it's off the mats, and there is an element of competition to it. Now, I'm going to ask you before I get Kevin in on this. This is an important question. What is the game or thing that you have been heavily competitive with that you feel most embarrassed about getting highly competitive with?
So my family plays a card game, any kind of cards, but they got real into, maybe like 2-3 years ago, this game called Canasta. Mm-hmm. And it's a team game, either pairs or I think maybe partners of 3 sometimes. And yeah, I got partnered with my wife on our, like, it was like our family, but like my siblings, my parents, my sister's husband, his siblings and parents, like it was like extended. And there's no limit to who I'll trash talk to or get mad at. And then my wife was my partner, and she does not take it as serious. She like handles losing well. And if somebody's talking trash while losing, she'll laugh. And I start like, then I go from like, we're playing cards to like, let's just, you know what? Let's just, you know who you're talking to? Like, and she's got to remind me to not do that. So definitely cards with a bunch of family members.
This is fascinating info. Kevin, are you now more terrified than you were before?
Yes, and I will say I was terrified before. That's what had me rattled. Now that the audience knows we have UFC fighter, and I think, let me go back up to the top. Oh yeah, of course, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Great. He's in a lot of my corners here, Raf. And the second is I'm looking at his early fights, his amateur results. Do you remember fighting an event called High Voltage?
Yes, I do. Yeah, in South Carolina. Yep.
Cool. So you fought at Conflict MMA, Aggressive Combat, X Fights. He's fought at basically Mel Gibson's IMDb page. This is fantastic. I'll be referring to him as High Voltage when we start the picks. But Joe, I got to start right off because I haven't gotten to hear this. I'm sure you've been asked now 27 times, but I'm going back to High Voltage in your amateur fights. Let's get forward to this upcoming bout on ABC. Jim Miller? How's that? What's it like going into a fight knowing it's Jim Miller?
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's a lot better than coming into a fight on a Contender Series against a guy nobody's ever heard of, or even guys like my last opponent, who's a fantastic fighter, but he's like me. Unless you follow the sport and watch a lot of the the fight nights or some of the prelims, you may have not heard the guy. This is one of those fights where pretty much everybody knows who I'm fighting, so it's one of those really, really good opportunities to go out and show what I can do against someone who will win over them is worth a lot. Plus, it's somebody that I look up to and respect a lot, so it's not a fight where I've never had animosity with an opponent, but there's definitely guys that are kind of cringy that you're like, gosh, I really, I could see myself getting annoyed with this guy quick if he started to act like that in the cage. This isn't one of those guys. So all the way around, I just think it's the perfect time to fight someone like him. It's somebody I respect, who I'm going to go out and give my best to. And I think on the other side is great things for me.
Quick joke. Everyone knows who he is because he's fought them already. You will be his,
no kidding.
You will be his 48th fight. 48,
Crazy.
Which is, and I like people with Jim Miller's record. And I'm looking at yours because I'm guessing there's a few amateur fights that might not be making your Tapology page. Shout out to them yet again. But Jim Miller comes from an era where at least 15 of those were off the books that didn't quite make it.
100%.
That's fantastic. And you've won by rear naked choke. You've won by guillotine. You've won by triangle. Are you taking this to the ground? This is our jiu-jitsu nerdiness.
Yeah, I think it would probably be inevitable that at some point in the fight we're going to end up grappling. And I think, depending on how it goes in the feet or our individualized game plans will determine how soon or how late, but at some point, even the way that he likes to strike, he kind of falls into his strikes and ends up in clinch scenarios. So at some point we're going to end up grappling. It's going to be, who's going to get there on top position, who's going to go for what, or what kind of scrambles will ensue. But I think it's pretty safe to say there'll be some grappling.
Ref, I know what I want for the bet. I want him to Babe Ruth his submission, but we'll get there.
Okay. Well, give it a second. We're not quite there yet. And Kevin, if I do have some advice, I'm going to cross-pollinate from a different interview I see here on my first Google search of our good friend Joe here by saying Joe Solecki not awestruck by Jim Miller matchup. So Kev, maybe this is the time to tell you don't get awestruck on Joe when you're competing.
That's great advice. That's great advice. The art of war, Ref. Thank you. I'll use that against him.
Yeah, here's a weird thing that
would have been great to tell me before I confess the nervousness, but we'll chat about that later as well.
So obviously that's a great matchup. And again, we mentioned how excited we were for it. But then there's the added bonus that it's going to be on ABC. At what point did you find that information out?
Yeah, not too long ago. I don't know where I fall in the card, but I know a lot of people are falling off cards, last minute. So, and last time I was one of the first prelims, I ended up on the main card. So, good chance we end up on there. I think that's pretty cool. Not something I'll be thinking about too much leading up to or during, but after, it's pretty cool to look back and be like, dang, that's like channel 3, 6, and 10. Everybody gets those channels. My grandmother gets those channels. That's real TV. ESPN is too, but this is every single household in the country gets those channels. So it's pretty wild.
Well, Kevin, here's why I asked this question, because he is top of the prelims on ESPN Plus. So Jim Miller, Joe Solecki, great spot to be in. It's also in that makeshift spot where if something does happen, wouldn't be surprised if they do move you. And if they don't move you, it's because they want to keep eyeballs on you. So it's kind of a win-win situation. But here are the other people fighting on this card. Mike Perry, D-Rod, Mackenzie Dern, Sam Alvey,
yes.
And then you're headlined by Darren Till and Marvin Vittori. So people are going to watch this card. and it's stacked. And I have something to admit here that I think may have implications for our game here today. This event takes place on April 10th. So obviously he has work to do, and we're glad he's able to spare us some time right now to do this sort of little wackiness. But there are more fights on this April 10th card than there are scheduled currently for the pay-per-view this weekend.
Damn it. They do this.
So, I know that a lot can change, but for the UFC 260 card, I am looking at a not fully rendered card. So things could change, and if they do, Joe, we will hit you up on the side to ask you, should any of these fights fall off, who you're picking, or replacements, because the age of COVID. I would ask you this, though. You also come from many different great places with your training, but of course the one nearest and dearest to us has been John Salter. Can you tell us what's going on with him? How has he been? We haven't seen him lately. We obviously miss him here on the show.
Yeah, man, he's been training like crazy. He's doing what he always does, man. He's just grinding away in a gym, teaching when he's not training, and sometimes doing both. Bullying people on the mats, off the mats, also bullying people sometimes. Eating slicers. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just shouting them out. But no, yeah, he's just been training like crazy. We were same thing today. We had 3 practices today. We did our conditioning this morning together over here at my place. I kind of built out my garage to be our little conditioning headquarters. So we meet here twice a week and do that. Went from there to wrestling, and then tonight was jiu-jitsu. So yeah, just training like crazy. He's been going up when we both been going up a lot to Jimmo in Gastonia, and he's been training up there. Like, even though he doesn't have a fight. And the gym up there right now, I've gotten to get a lot of work with those guys too, but the group that they have at that size is kind of remarkable. It's been, and just, when I'm in my group that's kind of based on my size, I'm like sneaking over, watching their rounds, because you got, on the grappling days, you got Weidman in there now. He lives, not far from Gastonia. So he's training there pretty much full time. Chris Honeycutt's in there. That's another 4-time All-American, or at least 2. And then they have another kid that just moved there who's getting ready to make his amateur debut, but in the wrestling was same thing, was an All-American in college that just came from, I think, Cal Poly. So watching those guys wrestle and stuff is fantastic. So he's doing what he always does, working like he's in fight camp when he doesn't have a fight coming up. So trying to keep up with him.
Joe, I also have one point of clarification here. You recently put up a throwback photo, and I'm pretty sure you know which one you're going to get asked about here in a second. But the caption reads, Throwback Thursday, I'm in the first row with the green belt, demoted to yellow shortly after. What happened? How does one get demoted in jiu-jitsu? Because myself and Kevin, we've never been demoted, yet we probably should have been multiple times.
Yeah, and I think the second question is, like, who would demote a child? No. But so I trained at a gym early on with great guys, and it's actually the guy that runs the Good Fight tournament, Jim Fortunato. And he kind of had a hybrid school. So it started out as traditional martial arts, because it was in 97 when my brother joined. And then by the time I joined, it was offering jiu-jitsu classes mainly with, like, the people that started karate were grandfathered into, like, that program, and no new students. So he kind of did the belts like kids' belts. So they would do, like, all the kids' belts and adult belts, but you get them all while you were a kid. And then when you would go to turn 16, you would turn to either a blue belt or maybe a white belt again. I don't really know how he was doing it. But I think it was just, like, a lot of karate schools do that. They do a lot of promotions, a lot of stripe promotions that you pay for, a lot of, like, in-between belts with a long stripe through it. So it was kind of like that. So I went through quite a few belts, got to green belt, and then when we ended up moving over to, Hassett Jiu-Jitsu, where I trained the rest of my time there, he was that guy's training partner and instructor. He just moved closer, and we transitioned over to the other school. And this is funny because the name that put it into perspective for me, where, like, I was looking at my parents at, 10 years old, or I think I was 9 when we switched, was I went to Battle at the Beach, and I've never won a match at a tournament at this point in my young jiu-jitsu career, and went against Gianni Grippo, who I think is like a year or 2 older than me, but we were around the same size. And, dude, he ripped my arm off in about 10 seconds. And, that was in no-gi. I didn't do – and I watched him put his – he's wearing like an orange belt or a yellow belt. I'm like, this guy's older than me, definitely better than me, and he's a belt lower than me. Like, something's got to change. So me and my mom after class one day told Mr. Hatcher, like, you know, I know that this isn't right because, like, I won't get another belt until I'm 16 and I'm 9. So also, like, can you just give me the belt I'm supposed to have, because clearly this isn't it. And he, you know, I was like, oh, I'll go back to an orange, maybe an orange with a couple stripes. And he came out a couple days later with a yellow. And I was like, I still remember clear as day to this day him being like, don't be disappointed with that belt. It's just because I want you to get more belts along the way, because you're gonna, like, I got it, man. I know where I stand. I'm pretty bad.
Well, Kevin, just to put it in some perspective here, the minute he got demoted, about a year or two later, Jim Miller made his MMA debut fighting other friend of the show, Eddie Fivey. So there's a lot that happened in this 2003, 4, and 5 region that just goes to show you, one, how ancient Jim Miller is. And don't worry, Jim Miller is also vaguely a friend of the show. But it is kind of one of those things where I just look at it and I say, your journey has come a long way. I'm glad to know all of these things about you. But as you know, part of the game is going to be guessing for this pay-per-view that's coming up. However, there is a little bit of trash talk that we do require. So, Kev, do you have questions to ask him before we give him an opportunity to cross-examine you?
Well, first, I want to say to none of the kids listening, because it's mostly an adult show, you too can become a badass UFC fighter and black belt. Just push through those first few awkward years and unleash the fury. So you've also, I think you've stumbled upon one of your ESPN on ABC talking points. Because before I ask you one or two questions about some history in your fight world, I do want to give you ABC advice. So I don't know if you watch much television. You seem pretty busy. You have a young child. But they have a lot of shows. So if you win convincingly with a nice, like, call your shot, be like, and you can see me on the next episode of The Rookie as one of the cops. And just try and use it as
get to that side hustle. I like it.
Yeah. You'd be like, I'm about to break a million little things. I'll see you Wednesday. I don't know when it is. But you'll have to do some research. So think about it. Figure out, maybe it's Big Sky. I don't know what show you want to be on. But okay, this is for the game. You don't have a ton of losses on your record. Which one upsets you more? The knockout or the decision?
Gosh, it's funny. I think about these every day.
You must. You seem like the human being. Yeah, you've admitted. You admitted it.
I was thinking. I think about at least every day. One, because from the one fight, I have a huge scar under my eye. So if I ever look in the mirror, I just look at it. I'm like, yeah, you lost that one. Like, I can win a million fights for them, but I'll always be the guy that lost twice. It's just how my brain works. And I'll always be the kid that was demoted to yellow belt. Like, so really, Jim Miller's got nothing to worry about. He's fighting a guy with very low self-esteem. But no, I've come to terms with it. Like, because somebody asked me the other day if I wanted to fight, Nicholas Motor that knocked me out is now in the UFC. And they're like, do you want that back? And this, and I was like, I mean, not really. Like, it made me a lot better, So I really neither, because I think it all kind of happened the way it was supposed to. If I would have won that first fight, I definitely don't like that I lost to a guy who ended up not making it anywhere. But at the same time, if I would have won that, then it would have been off to the races. I would have fought for the title at CFFC, and you get locally, and it's almost, I think that's the worst thing that can happen to you. It depends on the regional scene, because then you kind of want to be the small town guy as long as possible. And then I would have been fighting, really, really tough dudes at that point, and I probably got thrown in, if I would have won, thrown into an opportunity I wasn't ready for. Same thing with the motive fight. I learned so much from those that I came back, and both were issues with energy management, not being out of shape, but just not knowing how to not have adrenaline dumps and run out of gas from, trying to finish it too early. And then I came out and won 2 3-round decisions since then and felt great. So neither, but it does suck that I lost somebody. I didn't really end up making it anywhere, but here we are.
I mean, we'll have a couple things here. One, if you would have looked at that scar and you would have won, I know you'd like to think it would have been like, ugh, I won that fight, got this cool scar. No, it's still a scar. You'd still be super pissed. You'd be like, well, I should have done something different, because I still live with this, even though, yeah, I did win the fight. And number two, I do tell people, especially in a sports psychology sort of perspective, it is very tempting to want to chase and get those back. But then it's like, are you doing that to even a score, or are you doing that to advance your career? Because clearly your career is taken off. And I always tell people, I'm like, you'd be surprised how some roads lead themselves back to where they're supposed to be at an eventual time. But it's not like you're getting Dustin Poirier money where you go, what title? Screw that. Just come on, dude. It's fine. Just let's have some fun and let's make some money.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, hey, my 6-month-old daughter, I know I blew off a great opportunity to fight a legend, but I'm settling some old scores for less money. Don't worry. I'm going to get this one back. Like I just like, if it was just me, I might be like, yeah, I'll get him from my ego. But yeah, I got bigger fish to fry. I'm trying to stay in the UFC and climb the ranks and make a good life. So I got to be more mature than that.
You're well on your way to doing that. And again, your performances already have been very impressive. Kev, I'm going to turn it over to him now, and I'm going to give him the opportunity to get to know you better, because I think we have somebody here, Kevin, tell me if I'm wrong,
who's funnier than me?
Says that they don't talk
bothering
trash.
Me too. Oh, what?
But like, I'm getting the impression more and more as he gets more excited talking about wins, losses, certain sorts of topics.
Yeah.
He might actually be a secret trash talker in disguise.
He's hit a few good ones so far, which is, I mean, it makes sense with the Salter,
So with that in mind, Joe, are there questions that you need to know about Kevin that might better inform your trash talk to him? Because, I'm asking you to make fun of a stranger here by all intents and purposes.
That's what's tough. Yeah. Like I usually make fun of people I really know. And which is so funny because then like people that don't know me too well, I'm like, oh, you're nice. And then the people that really I'm like making fun of that I like a lot, they'll be like, no, he's not. He makes fun of me all the time. Like, I mean, I like you and I know you. But I think I can, well, I don't know. Unless you were demoted, I don't know what you have on me. I feel like I got to be like Eminem in 8 Mile.
I'm not sure I shouldn't be demoted. You can make an argument with my current conditioning. Whew.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have my interview questions ready.
See?
This is, I'm going to have to just go on the fly, I think.
Perfectly fine, but just think about this. You said that you only like to make fun of people that you know. So what would you ask Kevin if you were just trying to get to know him? If he was in the gym.
What belt, for sure. I have to know what belt we're dealing with, because if it's, it's all a black belt, then I can't make fun like that. But if he's like, oh, I'm a blue belt, then I can pull rank a little bit, for my weight around.
You're going to love this. Lifelong purple belt. Feisty.
Oh, that's great.
Overweight currently, but in like a 215 way, feeling pretty good. The beard is what
work
makes
with that.
it fierce.
I've been practicing working with that on my brother because he's the longest purple belt in history, I think. I think he had it for 9 years, and then he got his brown belt and he held that for about 8 years, and then he finally got his black belt this year. So I like to walk by him and like flash my stripe and be like, yeah, you might get one of those one day. Stick with it, and just totally just bully my older brother around.
Let's be clear. I don't want to give away too many of the years, but we may be approaching that.
Yeah, we'll let you know. I might need some Joe bullying. We'll do a different YouTube series. It's called Toughening Kevin Up at 36. It's just Joe and I could take that up with an agent at ESPN.
Now you mentioned you needed to know that, but if you saw this purple belt in your gym and he was new and he was coming out to, take one of your classes, like what would you ask him? What would you ask him that would start, you believe, a kind of friendship?
Oh, I don't know. See, I go through this thing where I'm like a skittish cat or dog. I let people come up to me. Like there's people that maybe have trained with us like 4 or 5 months. That other than saying, hey, how's it going, man? Welcome. I'm Joe. I never talk to them.
Well, Raph, I'm ready. I'm ready. Hold on. Great news, Joe, because I'm I've, as my previous instructors will tell you, plural, loud guy at the gym. I'm immediately chatting with you, telling you about hobbies,
those are my favorite
suggestions.
people. Those are my favorite people because they do work for me.
That I'm much better no-gi when we're in the gi, and then when we're no-gi, I'm like, my gi game's pretty good. Like, I've got a lot of bobs and weaves on my arguments. And you're pretty much caught up. Rural Kansas, now in Colorado, spending way too much time with my dogs. And hey, this is something we can bond on, though. Currently 3 month, well, a little over that, pregnant wife at home. So just past
awesome. Congrats. That's great.
Thanks. I like to think I just passed that first trimester marathon tape of freedom where I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to sleep again. I'm like high-fiving friends. I know I'm not, but just let me think it. So.
Yeah. There we go. That's something I can rub in your face and my kid sleeps through the night. Every night.
Yours is
there
out. It's all there.
Stockpiling now. This is good. There we go.
She's all cute and dressed. You're good. All right. Raph, I think that covers it. I don't have anything else going on.
That's fair enough. I think it's time we transition to the game of Over Under Kevin.
And now it's time for another thrilling installment of Over Under Kevin.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we now go to a portion of the show that we call Over Under Kevin. It is a simple game. All we do is go through the entire card. We give each participant on the show 15 seconds to say who they think is going to win. If I so deem it, I will give them 15 seconds of rebuttal time. And even though you do technically win if you get more picks correct, we here at the show appreciate those who talk better trash. They actually win the score in our hearts. Gentlemen, do you both understand the rules? Kevin, do you understand the rules?
I named him Joe High Voltage Solecki, and me, Kevin, win number 3. So, feeling good.
Joe, I will ask you this. You did admit that you don't like having to live with losses, but if you lose here, I think we are probably prone to never giving you a rematch. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, I've had to do it before, so yeah, we'll have to. But I like my chances because this is a card where this card's stacked. So like, I think I'll know most of the people in this card. So I like my odds. I do.
Famous last words of so many individuals on this show. I like the moxie. All right, gents, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start this, and I'm gonna put 15 seconds on the clock. But our first bout is going to be in the middleweight category, and it is going to be between Marc-Andre Berihalt and Abu Azaitar. Kevin, you start us off.
Wait, you messed those up so much I went to another one, so good on you. First of all, for a MAGA guy, Dana's outsourcing a lot of fight jobs lately. I'm just going to call it out. This card really spoke to me in that way, but I'm going with Berihalt because, Canada.
Very good. All right, Joe Solecki, what do you got on this one?
I am going with Azaitar. I'm honest. I'm picking him because of his brother. I don't really know much about him, but I know his brother's a savage. But he's got to have some of that rub, so I'm going with him. We can't pick the same guys, right? I mean, I was going to pick him anyway, but
no, we can a little. I mean, it's obviously it's gamesmanship, so I don't want to pick all your same guys to beat you, but
making sure because I want to win. Yeah. Okay. I'm picking Azaitar.
Kevin,
it's not
can
mandatory.
I ask you this?
I'm just saying.
Kevin, can I ask you this question? Do you believe that he's saying that the brother has to be good because he himself has brothers who are martial artists and he feels like they better pony up on this?
Well, I didn't want to talk smack on his brother, but it's like, what if this is the long road purple belt brother? You know, maybe he's back in the wrong Azaitar. But I also was like, I never saw Azaitar when it came out, so it was too long.
Fair enough. Joe, I'm going to have you go first on this one. It's a women's flyweight bout between Jillian Robertson and Miranda Maverick. Go.
I'm going with Miranda Maverick. I think she trains out of here in North Carolina, but also I just seen a lot of highlights and everything. I'm picking her.
Okay, slow, succinct. Kev, I'm going to give you 15 seconds to say who you think is going to win.
I'm gotta go with the Canadian theme here. And this one is plus 140. I might put $5 on this one. I'm going with Robertson. And this could be like the futuristic Sex in the City reboot between Maverick and Robertson. There's some coolness in the next generation, like with what they did. They're badass MMA fighters this time. Sorry.
Is there any ties to Canada for you, Kevin, or is this just a weird mediocre fetish that we're having?
Spent 2 weeks in Montreal, so nothing mediocre about this fetish, sir.
That's like the purple belt thing. Like, we're in the middle of the road. It was nice. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that great. We're just hanging out here in Purple. We're gonna hang in Canada for 2 weeks.
No one got exhausted. You spent a little time in lockdown. You liked it. Yep.
Kev, do you hear him coming to life? It's as if somebody busted out the Uno deck and he just kind of got this glimmer in his eye. Like, what are we doing? What are we playing?
I'm having adrenaline right now. I don't even know what's going on. I don't know why. I feel like I'm about to walk out to go make picks, but here we are.
I mean, listen, dude, this is a natural high. It's not the high you're going to get with.
Well, we've heard how he gets at family cards, Raph. I mean,
I know.
razzed him. He feels like friends now. I don't know what to say. It's the fighting that unites us.
Here is the next fight we go to. Kev, you pick first on this one. A women's strawweight bout between Jessica Bennet and Hannah Goldie. Go.
Yeah, I just absolutely have to go with Goldie, purely based off of pretty badass last namery. I didn't have a ton of fight analysis on this one, and part of I have a parlay idea later, not for the picks, but for actual gambling.
Noted. Solecki, what do you got on this one, sir?
I'm going with Bennet for 2 reasons: for skill, but also because Goldie. I don't know how this is possible because I don't even know who. I knew she was on the Contender Series, the same episode as another guy I knew, but she must be selling her soul to Instagram because she's on the Explorer all the time. I'm like, I don't follow you. I don't want to see this because it's never fight related. It's half fight related, but it's look at me, look at me. So I'm definitely picking Bennet and rooting for Bennet openly.
Interesting. Kev, it's sounding like we'll see in the future an OnlyFans for one Joe Solecki once he realizes how to go ahead and brand himself properly.
I think this is just jealousy talking, on my end.
Sound like it. There used to be good amateur nights down in Wilmington. You could maybe hit one of those clubs, see what you got, see what the following feels like. Post-COVID.
I have a clip-on bow tie from when I used to work in a nursing home. I could just wear that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Solecki, I like the fact that you were starting off that rant by being like, I mean, I only know her from the Dana White Contender Series. Oh, wait. I mean, me too. Okay. But also, I mean, I'm being interviewed right now. I don't like this hostility. Anyway, next question. Whatever. I wasn't here. We're going to go to this next bout. It's a bantamweight bout. Kev, Solecki's going to go first on this one. Between the undefeated Sean O'Malley and Thomas Alameda. Go, Joe.
It really hurts me to pick Sean O'Malley, but I'm going to pick Sean O'Malley.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Kev,
I don't want to back myself any further.
I'm picking Sean O'Malley for this fight, but that's not as interesting as covered by my colleague. So I'm also going to pick Sean O'Malley for another thing that I sometimes traverse. Most likely fighter to see at a New York sex club. Yeah?
Fair. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Cool. As he was talking all brutishly, I was like, this guy is going to have one awesome after party, regardless.
So, Joe, let's get into that real quick. You said you didn't want to pick O'Malley.
Yeah.
Any particular reason why?
I don't know. Right? Maybe a great guy. I just feel like I just don't do flamboyant, loud, look at me well. But that's not my place to judge. But when he was talking about doing heroin, holding his newborn on the podcast, you lost me. That's where he lost. I was like, yeah, I just can't back that part. I know. Do you guys see this clip?
I'm unaware of this, but that all checks out.
You got to look it up when you get a second. Oh man, Kevin, when you're not sleeping tonight, look it up. He's talking about. I think it was the same episode he said that stuff about the Megan Anderson, but so it kind of got overshadowed. But he's holding an infant. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I'll try heroin. I'm not weak, so I won't get addicted. I was like, oh, I have friends that were addicts. Like, you're killing me right now, dude. And you're holding a child. What's wrong with you? Also, don't do that. But but he's good. He's probably going to beat Thomas Almeida, so I'll pick him.
Can I give a few notes here? Number one, Kevin, I'm glad that this becomes fatherly advice. That is like, you could do a lot of things wrong, Kev, but on the lower scale of good parenting would be heroin and holding your child. The second part,
I did
that I
jot
think
it
is-
down just for future reference. Like, I'll make better choices too.
Dude, day one Lamaze class. Don't do that while you hold your child.
You keep your child and your heroin use completely separate. This is 2021.
the second thing that really stands out to me here is that I have to go on and off one occasionally with Sean O'Malley, because when a fighter says that they mentally feel that they're undefeated, I do understand the mentality that they need to be a fighter, and that you need to believe that you're going to win, and that you can have that sort of like untouchable sort of feel. Like I get where you need to go sometimes. I would say, as a person who also makes memes, that shit hilarious to us, because when we hear that, we go, uh-oh, well, now you kind of forced my hand and I got to do this joke because it's too good. So, that's the one where when I heard he did the heroin one, I go, yeah, it's not really my cup of tea, dude, but okay. But then I get other people being like, can you believe that he said that he's going to beat the person and that they're a bum? And I was like, yeah, I actually can. Like, that shit somehow makes sense to me, because it's just dumb trash talk, even though we all saw the result of what happened. So, womp womp. But yeah, no, thanks for reminding us of that one, Joe, because I had even let that one go into the deleted file memory in my head.
We're gonna I'll add Joe's most likely to be on the commentary booth 12 years from now when he retires.
Yo, you want to talk about seeing the payouts? Oh my gosh, they listed them this year for the first time. I was like, oh wow, that's way more than I thought.
Yeah, because they're with ESPN. They had no choice but to list them.
Yeah, to talk about fighting, dude, I'm doing that all the time. Every chance I get, this is great.
Kev, you're going to take this next fight.
Whoop.
It is a light heavyweight bout between Modestas Boscas, that's an illegal caller, and Michael Olkshush.
Are you done? Are you good? It's hard to tell because there's a lot of levels to this name. I'm going with, and here I go. I did this 7 times, in case you're curious how many times I tried to do this. Alexei, and I feel great about that enunciation. Little worried he's not tall enough, but he's scrappy and mean and has an aggressive rib tattoo.
Fair enough. Joe, what do you got for us on this one?
I'm going the opposite side. I think because of the height difference. Although I am short, I should really back the short guy. But I think I'm going for the rangier guy.
Kev, do you hear a lot of indecisiveness in Joe's voice?
Yeah, and he's the word rangier. I've got him. I'm owning the middle of the octagon in this one. I'm backing him up.
I am so glad that we basically gave him a compliment. It's like, you really should do commentary. And the next thing that he did for analysis was, I don't know, man. I feel like he's rangier.
And
he
I'm
has a
gonna
more jabby power thing.
I'm gonna
His
keep
kicks look
making
straight. They were good.
in the cage comparisons because he does it and I don't, so that must feel good for him. He must be like, yeah, I want to hear more about you owning the cage. So it's good.
We're gonna move on, and now on this time, Joe, you get to give us the first pick, and I'm actually gonna give you 30 seconds. And I really would love to hear the who, what, where, when, and why of who do you think is going to win between Tyron Woodley and Vicente Luque. Go.
I need like 9 seconds. I got to go Vicente Luque. Is Woodley an avid listener? Do we know? Because if not, I'm just going to say we just every time. I mean, dude, so impressive his run to the title, and then I don't feel like he's not that he's lost every round. I don't think he's fought a round in 15 rounds now. It's just really strange. I think Luque is just he's very similar to Gilbert Burns, who put it on him. So I think it's going to be more the same. I'm taking Luque. And he fought my teammate, who I thought was the toughest guy ever, and then I watched them slugging out in the middle of the cage until they both died, and then Luque won. So I
there it
respect him a
is.
ton.
That's the real analysis. I would say this, though. We learned a lot in this one, and I'll answer some questions for you. One, no, Woodley is not an avid listener. And if he was, he probably stopped after his rap career, which coincidentally, since releasing the track Beat They Ass, he has not done any of the Beat They Ass, and in fact has not won a single round since releasing that track. Anyway, that's a little point of information. Kevin, you've got 30 seconds. Go.
This is extremely easy. You're 27-ish, if topology's right, Joe?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah. He doesn't understand why Tyrone's but take the last 15 rounds off. You hit 35, the body falls off a cliff. Literally. Every morning. It's like, feels like I fell off a shorter cliff last night. What was that? He's 38. He was a wrestler before this. There's a lot of mileage on that, what was cartilage and is now something bone amalgamized to muscle. And Luque. Love you, Woodley. You know, bringing it back. Real fun character, but whew, I hope it goes well, right? Like, I kind of hope it's a good fight. I'm worried it's not going to be.
Oh. Yeah.
Vegas,
Can we take a
do you
moment?
all want to know what
that black line?
do you all want to know what Vegas has it at?
Oh no.
Luque minus 260. A huge favorite.
Wow. Yeah. He won't cross that black line, the warning track. He's always back to the fence. But I didn't really watch a ton during his title run, but I think he would like sprint forward from there usually. Now he won't come across that line. So strange.
Can we take a moment here to acknowledge the real loss? I believe at the current time, that is your co-main event. Let's see if that sticks. But, Joe, how sad were you when Volkanovski and Ortega got pulled from this?
Very, very sad. I like Volkanovski a lot. I like watching Brian Ortega fight a ton too, but I'm a big Volkanovski fan. Gosh, I think he's so good everywhere. I just like him. I like him a lot. And I think I don't think he gets enough credit. He's like a Stipe, I feel like. You know, the last fight with Max was close, but it wasn't enough to be like that was highway robbery. And the first one, I thought he clearly won. And they're acting like he lost both. So I'm a big fan of his. I think he's like kind of like almost an underdog champion.
It'll probably appear on a future over-under Kevin installment that you probably won't get asked back to do. But having said that, who do you have in that? Because they seem like they are going to reschedule it. Who do you have and why?
Volkanovski. I think he I'm going to say range again, but this time I know who I'm talking about. I think he gets in and out of range very, very well. So I think that stand back, patient, kind of two-shot, hit you hard style that we saw from Ortega, you know, when he came back and fought Korean Zombie, isn't going to be the answer. I don't think you can take him down. So I don't think unless for some reason Volkanovski had to shoot real sloppily and leave his neck out, I don't see how Ortega puts him away with a choke. So I think he would get it done. Decision.
Noted. Kevin, did you even know that they canceled that one?
Shut up. No. I did not. But I did know Ortega was supposed to fight. I didn't know it was Volkanovski. That's actually much more fun to me. But I'm always upset when Ortega's not going to fight. Feels like it's been a while.
Yeah.
And maybe by the way, we'll see him just 64 UFC events from now. I'm sure they'll get it rescheduled.
The sad part is they broke the news during last weekend's fights. So you heard the commentary booth, and normally I just zero them out whenever we're doing the fight companions. And somebody had to let us know. I think there was a news update that said that the fight got canceled. And I was immediately like, yo, I don't want to pay $69 for this anymore. Like, this card's fine, but it's not a $69 card anymore.
Imagine those poor saps without ESPN Plus. And that's why you can see Joe Solecki on free ESPN ABC. There you go.
So let's go to this. It's a welterweight bout.
Yeah,
Jesus. I like that he's basically plugging the free trial to get in and get out. You know what it is?
I'm a company guy.
Out here. Solecki's out here telling people like, yo, everybody make one password, use that weekend, and then share it the next week. The next guy gets a free trial, and this gym is going to go on forever.
It's a real Robin Hood approach we have here, Salty Dog.
Bless you. But when you get pay-per-view points, I'm sure we're going to have this conversation again. And you're going to be right there with Data doing this.
Good pirates.
You pirates, you fucking dummies out there. Yeah, sure. Khabib can stream it. That's because he's undefeated.
This is my daughter's second college degree. At that point, no, we'll talk.
Kev, you're going to go next. It's a welterweight bout between Jared Gooden and Abu Bakar Nurmagomedov. Kev, go.
I feel pretty conditioned just to say Nurmagomedov, and I feel great about that decision. I'm sticking with it. Until the name loses, I think I'm just going to go.
Noted. Solecki, what do you got?
I would assume Gooden's an underdog, but I'm going to pick him. I know I'm pretty well aware from the Southeast regional scene, and I think he can get done an upset. I can see him getting back up or putting up a good fight on the way down and then catching him with a heavy shot. He's very powerful, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to pick him.
On the way up and the way down. Plus 190.
Kev, do you feel like Solecki is taking a risk here?
With some of the phrases? Yeah, but it's starting to pay off. I think he's endearing himself to the audience. Or you mean pick-wise now? I'm going to be upset.
I've seen this guy and been like, as a grappler, been like, dude, I think he's at 170 at the time. And I was like, dude, if I had to go for 170, there's no way that this guy is a savage. So I think he can catch him with a shot. I really do. Because I think a lot of times we get high hopes for the Dagestani wrestlers, and they pan out sometimes. But other than Islam, we haven't really seen them be unbeatable, you know? So I think this could be a good upset, like a calculated risk.
This is a very risky pick for you. I feel like you're putting so much of your fight ethos at risk on this one because you're doubling down. And there are so many other picks that you've made so far. And it's a good time to tell you a few things. Number one, I would say this. I've never asked this question of a guest before, but based purely on Kevin's talking ability and the fact that he is a purple belt, what do you think Kevin's best submission is just from hearing him talk?
Like the hot box where you open your gi when you finally achieve mount and just smother them and wait for them to tap, and like once a year you hit it and you're like, yeah, it still works, baby. Or a can opener.
Kev, would you say that is accurate at all?
I would not. I would disagree with that.
I'm just so glad. That's how we bring a black belt onto the show where they go, yeah, Kevin's his main submission, by the way he talks, it's a hot box. He probably does that punch Nogi Ezekiel because he's that big of a dick. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. The second thing I wanted to bring to your attention is there's normally a wager, and Kevin has already mentioned he's got one in mind, but we usually defer to the guest. So without saying some kind of, well, relax, kid. It's not like we're asking you to give us part of your purse. I would tell you this. Kevin, what have been some examples of over-under bets and wagers in the past?
Recently. Well, I actually tied last week, which is kind of impressive. That was me and Kai Kamaka. There aren't many ties, so we both have to drink what's that terrible?
A White Claw.
A White Claw. Here it is. And give a shout out to the other. Not too long ago, I had to make a penis cookie, like a Christmas cookie that looked like genitalia. It was a good sugar cookie. I'm not gonna lie, but it did look quite interesting.
Yes.
Then, Dan Martinez and his good-looking Florida self was talking smack on me for drinking Natural Lights because it was Super Bowl weekend. So he had to drink 5 natties. And that was his. That was like his bet thing. So
it was his.
So it's
choice.
little
He
video
almost
challenges
wanted to do
that air
yeah.
ahead of or behind. It's like little promo stuff too.
And Joe, obviously, we know you're in fight camp, so
you're busy.
We will kind of respect that much, so we won't try to throw you too far off.
Even out of fight camp, I've never drank. So I think if I had to drink 5 natty lights, I'd have my stomach pumped.
Well,
we're
also
I should be good. I'm down for whatever. That sounds good. I'll defer.
Well, we usually cater them to the guest. So if the guest comes on and says, "I've never drank before," it's not like Kevin and I say, "Great, hard alcohol, 5 shots, go."
Break your 27-year code with yourself.
Yeah, no, I get that. And here's what I would tell you. like I said, we defer to the guest. So without saying what it is, if you do have something in mind, because I know we just sprung it on you, do you mind letting us know if you do have a bet in mind?
I don't.
Okay,
I'll
guess
defer
what?
back.
You've got 3 fights to kind of think about it, okay? So right now I'm going to ask you to give me a winner between Jamie Malarkey and Karma Worthy first. Go.
I'm first. I'm going Karma Worthy. I'm confident in that. This is not a guess. I know you guys, because they're in my division. Gosh, he finds a way to pull it out. I feel like he's pretty well rounded. I've seen him choke guys that I didn't think he would submit and do the opposite on the feet. So I'm picking Worthy.
Kevin?
I can't get over that Tapology has worldwide our friend Joe Solecki ranked at number 51st. Best MMA lightweight fighter. On one hand, that's amazing. On the other hand, are they not seeing the craftsmanship he's doing here to try and get a fight with the coolest name I've ever heard, Karma Worthy? I'm calling Malarkey on that, and I'm calling Malarkey for the win. Raph, and I have been screaming Malarkey to get ready for this podcast for an hour.
Fair enough. And it should be noted, Karma Worthy is an extended friend of the show, so
Coolest name on the planet. No
he's a
doubt,
good guy.
right?
I do enjoy him. He's very nice.
What is
So
he? He's a Death Star, too, is the nickname. That's pretty cool, right? Isn't he? Isn't that him?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I
that's
do
a pretty
know
cool nickname, too. I feel like that's...
The Death Star.
Cliche. It's not like Pitbull, you know? I like
Comma,
that.
the
I get
Death
that.
Star Worthy is a badass. I agree. Cool. Cool title, sir.
I just love the fact that Solecki's over here trying to be like, Raph, first of all, he's a cool guy because cool nickname. So get with the program. We're best friends. You don't know that. But we bonded over his nickname. And I'm like, dude, I don't know that Joe was going to be so into a person just being like, man, I love that nickname, and go into full Step Brothers mode. But it happened right in front of us.
Under nickname
So-
for Joe, they have NA. And I was like,
Oh,
oh,
no.
we can do better than that, can't we?
Joe, is this true?
Oh,
Do
I
you
don't
not
know.
have a nickname?
No. Yeah, they got to be given, and nothing really stuck. The only thing that they call me in the gym is John calls me. He'll word it 2 ways. He calls me all overlooked over there because we have this thing where people will walk in and they think I suck, or like, you know, I got the Wyman fight, and like another well-known UFC fighter in our area was like, oh my gosh, clearly they don't think very highly of Joe. Like, that's a tough fight. Stuff like that. It's like, or people will be like, oh man, like this, purple belt that trains twice a week is super tough. Like, I think he could tap Joe. And you're like, you know, I'm all right at this stuff. So John calls me overlooked. That's the only thing they call me now, but I wouldn't use it as a name. But we did name my garage gym. I named it Overlooked Training Center. And the tagline is, you'll probably drive right past it.
Oh my God, this is very telling information. Okay, so Joe,
Love it.
first of all,
I love
I love
Overlooked.
the-
Stallone-ish.
I love the actual background story because I've seen you call it Overlooked, and I just kind of put one and one together in terms of like overlooked as a mentality of like the person that you are, where you just go, hey man, I won't be overlooked, or hey, listen, you might not care, you might drive past it, but I'm in here grinding. I didn't know it came with your own gym big, like, I don't know, man. Joe's looking pretty.
I was
Pretty
once
rough
in
to
a
have.
team huddle. I'll put it to you this way. I was once in a team huddle with 2 Bellator fighters, 4 UFC fighters, and some other pros. And they announced what everyone had coming up, and I wasn't quite signed to fight Hubbard yet. And the guy leading the huddle was like, this guy's going to be coming for top 15 in the world. This guy's fighting for the number 1 contenders fight. I think Joe's going to be a dad next month. And I got something coming up. And I was like, guys, I fight too. I'm one of you guys. I'm not just some dad. So, yeah, all overlooked.
Well, you know what? I think that's the best thing is that they mark you as present as part of the team practice. But I think the fact that you're a UFC fighter means you can hang and you're good in the conversation. But I will tell you this. If we ever just call you overlooked here on the show, it will be for non-fighting purposes. Like, I will make sure
Perfect.
that it is only in regards to being like, well, he sucks at Candyland. Let's be really clear about that. This man has no Candyland game. He's bad at, like, what, Risk? Who's bad at Risk? He is. Kev, you're going to lead off this one. It's a light heavyweight bout between William Knight and Alonzo Menafield. Go.
Okay, Menafield, for one simple reason. Purely abs. I don't know what else to say. This guy's brings it all to the table in his UFC picture. He's like leaning out. He's got it ready. The hair's, it's good.
All right. Solecki, what do you got on this?
I'm going with Knight. The only loss I believe he's had at all is to, oh gosh, I can't think of his name now, but he just fought my teammate, Jamie Pickett. I cannot think of his name, but he trains with Lloyd Irvin. He has really good stand-up and pretty decent wrestling. I can't remember his name now. But other than that, I remember seeing Knight on the regional scene a bunch.
Kamur?
Alexa
Kamur? No. That was his last fight.
Oh, no. That's okay. That's Stipe's teammate, isn't it? But, no, so one other guy. I can't remember who it was. The guy trains with Lloyd Irvin. But regardless, the other reason I know him is because a guy in Myrtle Beach got to the fight to fight him like 3 days out and left because he was so nervous that he started saying that his bed wasn't made and they didn't provide him with a proper limo. It was only an Uber, and every reason under the sun, rented a car and drove home. He was offered double his pay. It was fantastic. I was like, I got to look this guy up that he's so scared of. And then I understood it. I was like, oh, William Knight's a beast. So I'm picking William Knight.
God, I remember that. You're right. It took me a second to get to there, but oh my God, you're so right.
And the guy posted the screenshots and the phone calls with the promoter like he was in the right. Like, oh, this is so much worse. Like, he's offering you double your money and a stay at the casino. Like, you are hurting yourself. So never represent yourself in the court. This is terrible. But then I was like, oh, this guy's super scary. I think he got he was on the developmental deal at that point.
William Knight's nickname, Nightmare. Love it. Spelled like his last name.
Yes. Definitely like a Snyderverse moment that still doesn't make any sense if you really look at the film. It just isn't. But anyway, here's what we're going to say. We're about to get to the actual main event fight. And I will ask you this because I asked this of somebody today, just a regular civilian that I saw and who's, they're friendly enough with fights. When I said, are you excited for this fight? And they go, yeah. And I said, are you sure? It seems like it's going to be fun. I go, do you have a guy that you're rooting for in the fight between Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou? And he goes, I'm just rooting for everybody to have fun. And I go, I don't think that's a real answer. I think that's a pretty shitty answer. So I'll ask you this, Joe Solecki. Who do you have in this fight, Stipe or Francis? Go. 30 seconds.
I have the fans just having a good time. No, I'm going with Stipe. Obviously, I know that Francis is a favorite, and I know that in the first round he's going to be hell on wheels. But I think Stipe knows what he's dealing with already, and he's not too proud to move his head, move his feet, and stay away a little bit if he can. And then I think leaner Stipe is a lot faster. And I think if he fights like he did in the last fight with DC, he's going to get it done. I'll say what he says. His hand raised at the end, and still, by any means necessary.
Noted. So, motivated McGregor, C-level Kane, leaner Stipe, Kevin? Is that a thing? Is that something we're going to start attributing?
He does look leaner. His jaw. He looks like he's going to be trying to get on ABC, so you'd be like, I heard there's a Grey's Anatomy finishing up. If they need any doctors, he looks good. It's like he's been Pelotoning. I don't know what his routine is. Yeah.
Who are you picking?
Ngannou, of course.
Okay.
What's more fun? Come on. This division.
This is spoken like a true big guy in jiu-jitsu. This is spoken like a true big guy.
He represents everyone out there who doesn't have a gas tank. We get behind him. We swing from left, just waiting for him to throw that huge overhand. We're just like, yeah, get him, kick once. And then we just go and we all sit down. And we're okay with that. So can't wait. He's going to knock him out. Ngannou. I just am stoked, too, because Ngannou has that look like this is my time. It was the pre-UFC video that got me.
I think one of the better memes I've seen this week is of somebody with bug eyes in the meme saying this is Francis Ngannou going into round 2. And I just thought, yeah, that's pretty funny. I like the idea of him being like, uh-oh, I really need to get this done with some knockout power. Is there a scenario in which you can see the opposite of how you picked here, though, Joe? And if so,
yeah.
like, is there a scenario or a kind of setup that you see that does give Francis the win?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he can. I think he can get done, and really in any round except 4 or 5, I would say. I'd say for 3 rounds. I think it's kind of similar to fighting McGregor for a lot of these guys. It's like if it's that stylistic matchup for 3 rounds, he's going to have pop in those shots, and he can put anybody out. Even in the first eBay fight, you could see he was like he was still tagging him, and then getting pushed up against the fence or taken down. And I definitely see a way, especially in the first round. But I think anything past that, outside of I would never call it a lucky shot because he's obviously a great fighter. But outside of running after him in the first minute and catching him, if they settle in past that first exchange, I think Stipe is going to settle in and go to work. I really do. But I can definitely see it going the other way. But
Kevin,
I think it's only by knockout.
Kevin, the real question here that people have been posing to me, which is, has Ngannou learned anything since? Because that seems to be the difference maker. Even Joe's kind of saying, hey, listen, there's a puncher's chance. There's the ability for him to maybe outwork him a little bit. But the real question is, has he learned anything that might give him the edge? I'll ask you.
If I'm to believe his hype video, and I can't imagine he would falsely advertise, it seems like a pretty honest environment. He did learn. He was focused. He's paying attention. He is relatively new in fighting in this environment. So it's a pretty quick learning curve, especially in those early years, especially if that's all you're doing, and especially when you've been under the lights he's been under. So we'll kind of find out if he has. But back to my Stipe's not getting younger, and I think Ngannou is getting smarter, and I could not wait. This is a fun one because at least of this fights, and it gets back to me being biased towards something my opponent pointed out. Big guys. He's not wrong. I'm like, finally, let the bigger dudes out. I forgot this division existed. It's nice to see it back. It's great.
All right. Well, listen, gents, I know that when you get down to the end of it,
there's
Solecki, unlike so many other guests.
One more fight?
What do you have, Kev?
Young Morales.
I don't have that one. Can you throw the names? Which Young and Rich Morales?
Featherweight. Let me pull it up. This is Shane Young fighting out of New Zealand.
Okay.
Against cool tattooed Morales. Omar.
What's the Omar Morales. Okay. Well, I guess we should probably preview that because that was not on the Wikipedia page. But I guess I should be taught at this point because of how fast things move.
They don't.
You should always just refresh your fucking thing.
But remember, sometimes they have cut fights and yours is right. But let's just do it. Yeah. We'll do a quick fire.
No, I'm right.
It's canceled?
It's because of this. Volkanovski's teammate Shane Young and Omar Morales were expected to meet at a featherweight contest. However, Young was removed from the bout on March 22nd due to the COVID protocols. The bout was eventually scrapped. So unfortunately, that one is off. But I want to point this out. Just in the true fact that in the time that we've been talking here, I did refresh the screen and it did move Malarkey and Karma Worthy to the main card. So just in that amount of time, someone was working on the Wikipedia page.
Nice job, Karma. Nightmare. That's great. I mean, next man up. Men.
Yeah. So anyway, Joe, you were asking a little bit earlier when you were like, I'm going to be contradictory to whatever Kevin's doing. We appreciate guests who do that. It's not required. We still want you to win by the most right. We just appreciate you trash talking. And I don't want to risk you losing that because now we're about to figure out what that is. But in the event that you tie, because there are some similar picks, we do go to performances of the night. We pick 2 and one fight of the night. So Kevin, I think Solecki actually picks first on this one. No, actually it's you. Kev, you pick.
Yeah,
2 performances of the night and 1 fight of the night.
Ngannou O'Malley, and then fight of the night is going to be Knight versus Menafield.
Okay. What do you got for us, Solecki?
I'm gonna say O'Malley and Almeida will be fighting the night. Let's see. I can see William Knight getting a performance bonus because of his power. And then I can get a Stipe. He can grind out a decision. I'm trying to go through my picks. This is somebody who's been concussed multiple times. This is 2 losses again. See, I live with him every day. I think about him all the time. Gosh. I'm thinking Vicente Luque.
Nice. Oh, that's a good one. Damn.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's tough. It's good stuff.
All right. I am appreciating what is happening here. So, Joe, we gave you some time to think about it. Do you have a bet in mind with Kevin?
Nothing worth. I'm so bad with stuff like that. I was thinking about it the whole time, but I don't have anything worthwhile. Nothing that's going to be intriguing. So I'd rather hear what was on the table. I think that'd be
Sure, and we'll counter here in a second. But can I just offer you this? You can't be a competitive person or a person who wagers and not have some kind of idea in the back of your head. Even when I appear on other broadcasts, I come with something in the pocket.
Let him have it, Raph.
No.
It's
I'm
lecture time. You
Okay.
put high voltage
this is
Solecki
where,
in the corner.
This is where Salter's good at. He is like, see, I'm good enough with the win. I'm like, oh yeah, I can sleep tonight. I won. That's good. That's perfect. I brag a little bit, but then he's like, always got stakes. He's always got stakes. He's always like, well, a couple weeks ago, him and another guy were betting. If I can submit this guy with this move, you got to jump in your ice cold pool. I'm like, dude, you guys are nuts. Like, just get bragging rights. What happened to bragging rights? That's an old school. It's old faithful. So I'm bad at this stuff, but I will definitely agree to the terms.
Well, that was foolish to start with. But I will tell you this, though, Joe. I will tell you that as a strong trash talker, it's just important that you have that in you, because otherwise, that's why you end up finishing a game of gin rumming and looking at grandma and being like, you think you're better than me? You think you're better than me, grandma? So I didn't know that was part of it, that your wife has to calm you down, but bless you that you've got her. So, Kev, what do you have in mind?
Yeah, he has to submit Jim Miller via submission of the podcast. Arm triangle. Easy. Bet one.
I don't think we can make him do that.
Oh.
And also, we don't know how good his arm triangle is, so I don't want to put that on him. I imagine it's better than ours, but I also don't want to give away any game plans, because we would definitely have Salter coming down.
I've got one, and it's based off of his fight. Loser has to say what ABC show they'd fight their way onto. Quick little video clip. This is dedicated. I did some research. Here's the ABC show I will put myself on. So
I'm down.
there you go.
All right, that's fair enough. Here's the dumb part, Salter, and I don't know that you understand what you just agreed to here. Kevin, if he does lose, will win, because this is the opportunity for him to pitch himself to go on The Bachelor. Even though he's married, he'd still like the experience of going on The Bachelor to be like, hey guys, I'm already taken, but I just want to go through the motions. If possible, that'd be great. I just want to give some roses out, and then I'm going to give you I'm going to be the best wingman bachelor.
Hey, they're in the market for a new host. Maybe they need a new bartender in Paradise.
There it is. This is a fan.
Hold on.
Get me on Paradise immediately.
Solecki, did I just hear you admit that you were a Bachelor watcher?
Oh, dude, yeah. The wife and I were Bachelor Nation.
Samesies.
They lost a little bit this season. It was a little boring, but
a little boring.
Paradise. So,
it was outside of
we
the
watched anyway. So we
outside of the bullying, it was terrible.
Yeah, it was awful. I was trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice to my ABC potential bosses, But yeah, it was awful.
Don't worry. Even the mouse sold them out. Even ABC was like, "Nah, we don't like this one, dude. It's not fun."
We know. That was our bad.
Joe, let me point this out to you. We do so many of these, and you came in saying that you weren't going to be a trash talker, and yet you kind of were, but you held to what you do best. And I'm glad that you represented yourself well, because this was delightful. Kevin, do you like Joe Solecki? Do you understand why I wanted to bring him onto the show?
Now that we put the shield of combat behind us, yeah, funniest MMA fighter, I think, on the docket. So That's nice praise. Joe's great. Joe can come back
Well, appreciate you guys
anytime.
having me on. I had a blast.
Well, hold on. We're not.
He's
completely
gotta
done
go.
yet.
He's got a
Well,
young
I know he's got to
child.
go. I know. We're gonna get him out of here real quick. Two
Oh,
things.
no rush.
Oh, okay. Well, then we're gonna keep you on for another 30 minutes. No, I will tell you this though, Kevin.
Shut up,
The one thing I didn't admit to you, Kevin, is that Joe maybe has a sponsor that he gets occasionally that is crushing to me, and now will be crushing to you. Joe, who's the occasional sponsor that you get to see every once in a while?
Slicer's Hoagies, man. Oh, man. And that's the thing is our teammate and friend that went down, he went down to Florida recently, but he was not in that area of Florida because he's got family on both sides. And I didn't know this. So I was like, oh, cool. Like, he comes home this weekend. My cheat meal, this is about 3 weeks ago. Like, my cheat meal will be Slicer's Hoagie that week. This is fantastic. And then he comes to the door and it's like, where is everything? Oh, no, I wasn't that part. So, yes, but when they do deliver, they deliver. It is fantastic. So, yeah, I think everybody should have a hoagie sponsor, really.
What do you get?
Or your sponsors don't care about you.
What's the thing? What do you get? Because I like a good like turkey cheese
So it was
drench.
called the Dream.
Okay.
It was called the Dream. It's buffalo chicken
Yeah.
with
Yep.
cheddar cheese,
Yep.
sriracha mayo, bacon, lettuce, and I believe that's it. I added some onion, and we're coming up with some. I may add one more ingredient, and I might get my own. I think if I beat Jim Miller, I get my own. But if I don't, I just have to keep ordering off the menu. I think it's kind of the arrangement. I lost his steak here. You know, he's got a record to break that night, but I got a sandwich to get named after me. So it's
The
Delicious.
dangled carrot of you either get a sandwich named after you or you're gonna pay double now. It seems like really unfortunate sort of things. So that's part one. I'm glad we discussed this. But part two, Joe, is we normally invite those who come on the week of previewing to come back the week after the fights. Would you be interested to come talk fights with us after it's all said and done?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, win, lose, or draw, I'm down to come back on and talk about it. I'm an open book. And, yeah, absolutely. That sounds
That's
fantastic.
great.
And I'll be in a much better mood because I will be I'm going to Florida for like 4 days, not near Slicers, with my wife and my kids. So we'll be hanging out, and I'll be in a much better mood than a guy that had to wrestle today.
We're in a bad mood. Anyway, all right, we're going to end this show, and we're going to schedule with you off air. But, Joe, you're a delight. You fight in a few weeks. I believe is April 10th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so April 10th, you, Miller, that's going to be a hell of a fight. We'll see you back next week. Where can people find you on the socials, sir?
Just at Joe Solecki on Instagram and Twitter. I only check on fight night just because I like to see everybody's opinions, but not about me. So please don't tweet at me about how horrible I am. But and then on Facebook, Joe Solecki MMA, and that's pretty much it.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is...